History is a story written in smoke. But what if one flame was extinguished before it consumed the world? 48 BC, Alexandria, city of wonders, its heart, a library holding the soul of humanity, scrolls of science, philosophy, and forgotten arts. In our timeline, this heart was ripped out. The fire of Caesar's ambition set it ablaze. Knowledge turned to ash, progress to a painful crawl. But tonight, we tell a different story. A story of a hero. Not a warrior, but a librarian. His name was Demetrius, keeper of the scrolls. As the harbor burned, he did not flee. He organized a chain of scholars, slaves, and soldiers. They moved the most precious texts to hidden vaults. They risked everything for fragile pop. The flames licked the outer halls, but the core was saved. The heart of Alexandria kept beating. The world did not notice the bullet, it had just dodged. But soon the whispers began. In the decades that followed, Rome did not just rule. It learned, it studied, it built upon the past. The works of Hieron, of Alexandria, were not just theory. His designs for a steam engine, were seen not as a toy, but as a key. By 150 AD, steam-powered pumps were draining Roman mines, allowing them to dig deeper for iron, for silver, for gold. The medical texts of Hippocrates and Galen were complete. They understood sanitation in ways we wouldn't for centuries. Plagues still came, but they were not apocalypses. There were challenges to be understood and fought. The library became a state-funded institution, the most sacred site in the entire Roman Empire. To be a scholar there was the highest honor. The maps of Eratosthenes were refined. They knew the earth was round. They knew its size, but they also had records of forgotten Phoenician tales of a great western continent. The Antikythera mechanism was not a mystery. It was a foundation, a starting point for astronomy. By 300 AD, their observatories were charting the heavens. With lenses ground to perfection using Archimedean principles, they saw the moons of Jupiter. A shocking discovery. The Earth was not the center of all things. This knowledge terrified many. It challenged faith. It challenged power. But the evidence was undeniable, etched in the stars. The fall of Rome was different in this timeline. It was not a sudden collapse into darkness. It was a slow transformation, a decentralization, but the library, protected by all, endured. It was the one constant in a changing world, the light that would prevent any dark age. Knowledge of crop rotation spreads, ending famines, concrete formulas, never lost, built, enduring cities. The concept of zero arrived from the East, and was immediately integrated into mathematics. The library was a melting pot of ideas. Greek philosophy met Indian mathematics. Persian astronomy met Egyptian engineering. A new kind of thinking began to emerge, not just preserving the old, but creating the new. The first printing presses appeared in the 5th century, not with movable type, but with massive making copies of essential texts for new universities. In Byzantium, in Persia, in the fledgling Frankish kingdoms, the seed of knowledge had been saved, and now it was beginning to sprout. The world of 600 AD was not one of ruin and ignorance. It was a world buzzing with potential, a world where steam carriages moved on stone roads, where semaphore towers relayed messages across continents. The air was filled with a sense of wonder, a feeling that anything was possible. The ancient past was not a distant memory. It was a living, breathing guide to the future. They stood on the shoulders of giants, and they were about to take a leap. A great acceleration was coming, a change that would reshape the planet, for better and for worse. The scholars felt a mix of excitement and fear. The power they were unlocking was immense. Could their wisdom keep pace with their cleverness? This question haunted the halls of the great library, a library that had saved the world from darkness. But could it save humanity from itself? The foundation was laid. The ember of hope had become a flame of discovery. The world was holding its breath. The next few centuries would decide everything. The first chapter was over. The true test was about to begin. The world was on the brink of a new age, an age of impossible progress. The year is 800 AD in our world. Charlemagne was crowned emperor. In this world, they were crowning their first star mappers. The Renaissance bloomed 700 years ahead of schedule. It wasn't a rebirth, but a continuous growth. Art and science were not separate disciplines. They were two sides of the same coin of truth. Da Vinci would have been a man of his time, not ahead of it. By 850 AD, the city-states of Italy were experimenting, not just with trade, but with flight. Based on the lost works of Archytas and his flying dove, gliders soared from the hills of Tuscany. Most crashed, but some flew. The feeling of freedom was intoxicating. In Baghdad, the House of Wisdom was a sister to Alexandria. They perfected algebra, a language to describe the universe. They developed advanced chemistry, not just alchemy. They understood the elements, acids, and bases. This led to new medicines, new materials, and new, more powerful explosives. For the first time, conflict was changing. Wars were not just fought with swords and spears, but with chemical fire and rudimentary rockets. The knowledge that built wonders could also build weapons. This was the great fear of the Alexandrian scholars. They formed a council, the Custodes Scientia, the guardians of knowledge. They tried to regulate the flow of dangerous information. But knowledge, once released, cannot be easily caged. By the year 1000, the world map was nearly complete. Fleets of steam-assisted ships had crossed the Atlantic. They did not arrive in the New World as conquerors, but as explorers, meeting civilizations of equal merit. The Maya, the Aztecs, their knowledge of astronomy was revered. Their mathematics added new pieces to the puzzle. There was trade, exchange, and sometimes friction, but not the wholesale destruction of our timeline. In Europe, Gothic cathedrals were built, but their stained glass windows told stories of atoms, of planets orbiting a sun in a vast galaxy. The microscope was invented in the 12th century. They saw the tiny creatures in a drop of water. The theory of germs was born. Hygiene and medicine took another quantum leap. Average life expectancy climbed to 50, then 60. Unheard of for a pre-industrial society. But this was an industrial society, powered by steam, water, and clockwork. Great thinking machines, powered by intricate gears, solved complex mathematical equations. They were the ancestors of our computers. Society restructured itself around this new technology. Feudalism gave way to merit-based guilds. Power was not in land, but in information, and the Library of Alexandria was the ultimate source. This created a new kind of tension. Who should control the library? Who should lead the world? The empires of the day vied for influence over Alexandria. The city became a fortress of knowledge. Its scholars, both revered and prisoners. In the 14th century, a breakthrough, harnessing electricity. They studied the Baghdad battery. They replicated the experiments of Thales with amber. And soon, they generated sustained currents. The world was lit by electric lamps. Telegraph wires, powered by electricity, crossed the globe. Messages that took months now took seconds. The world felt smaller, more connected than ever. This connection bred both unity and rivalry. Economic competition was fierce. Wars were cold, fought with information and sabotage. Everyone wanted the next great discovery. The race was on. A race for the future. By the year 1500, they were looking up again, not just with telescopes, but with ambition. They understood the physics of Newton centuries early. They knew the laws of motion and gravity, and they had the rocketry from the chemists of Baghdad. The question was no longer, can we go to the moon? It was, when should we go? The philosophical implications were staggering. Humankind, born on Earth, was ready to leave the cradle. Art reflected this new reality. Paintings showed silver ships against a black sky. Music was composed to evoke the silence of space. It was an age of profound optimism, but the shadows were lengthening. The Custodes Scientia saw a dangerous future, a future where their weapons could shatter worlds, where their reach could exceed their grasp. The acceleration was thrilling, breathtaking, but like a speeding chariot, the wheels could come off. They were rushing towards a destiny they couldn't predict, a world utterly alien to the one we know, a new world, born from an ancient flame that never died. Welcome to the present day, or rather, their present day. The year is 2025, but it looks nothing like our world. The sky is clear. Pollution was solved a century ago. Energy is clean, drawn from the earth and the sun. The cities are quiet. Marvels of architecture, a fusion of Greco-Roman aesthetics and hypermodern function. There are no skyscrapers that block out the sun. Buildings are designed to live in harmony with nature. The great plagues of our history were footnotes in theirs. The Black Death, the Spanish flu, all prevented. Genetic medicine, born in the 1800s, cured diseases. They understand the building blocks of life itself. War is rare, almost unthinkable. The great Datan of the 17th century proved that the cost of advanced warfare was planetary extinction, a truth they learned without a world war to teach them. The Custodes Scientiae had shared a terrifying vision, a simulation of a war fought with atomic power. The vision was enough. It shocked the world into peace. Humanity turned its competitive spirit outwards, to the stars. They landed on the moon in 1685. It was a global effort, a celebration of unity. By 1900, they had permanent bases on Mars. They were terraforming it, slowly bringing it to life. The solar system was their backyard. They had listened to the cosmos for centuries, and in the quiet hum of space, they heard nothing. For all their knowledge, they were still alone. This discovery brought a profound sense of responsibility and a deep shared melancholy. The flame of consciousness was precious and rare. The arts flourished in this environment. The central question was not how do we survive, but why are we here? Philosophy was the most important science. The preserved works of every thinker from antiquity provided a foundation for an enlightened society. They valued wisdom over wealth, empathy over ambition. But is this world a true utopia? Perhaps not. It is a world without striving, a world where the great struggles that defined us, the fight against ignorance, disease, and tyranny, were won so long ago. Does true strength only come from overcoming hardship? Some say their society is stagnant, too careful. They fear risk. They fear the unknown. They have preserved so much, they are afraid to lose it. The spirit of the risk-taking librarian Demetrius has been replaced by the caution of the curator. This is the great debate of their time. Should they push further into the galaxy, or should they perfect their garden in the solar system? It is a world we can only dream of, a world that chose a different path, a world born from a single act of preservation, a world without Shakespeare as we know him, but with 1,000 poets inspired by the stars, a world without the blues or jazz, but with music that echoes the harmony of the spheres, It is a world of breathtaking beauty and quiet sadness. It makes you wonder about our own timeline, about the things we lost, the potential buried in ash, all that knowledge, all that art, gone forever. Our history is one of struggle and recovery. We clawed our way out of the darkness they never knew, and maybe that struggle gave us something they lack: resilience, a ferocious will to survive, an appreciation for the light. Because we know the dark, their world is a beautiful dream. Our world is a harsh but powerful reality. There is no right or wrong timeline, only the path that was taken, and the ghosts of the path that was not. The story of the unburnt library is not just history, it's a mirror, reflecting on our triumphs, our failures, our potential. It reminds us that knowledge is fragile, that progress is not guaranteed, and that every moment is a turning point. The choices we make, big and small, write the future. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a history that might have been. The stories of our past are what shape our future, and sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that never happened. If you found yourself lost in this alternate world, please consider liking this video. It helps us immensely. Subscribe to our channel for more journeys into the unknown. We believe these stories matter, and we want to hear your voice. What do you think of this world? A paradise or a gilded cage? Let us know in the comments below. Your ideas inspire us. Until next time, keep asking, what if?